Welcome to the Intentional Life Summit. I am Amy Nesbitt, and I'm excited to have Professor, Productivity Coach, and devoted mom of four, Dr. Amber Curtis, with me. And after her own struggles of juggling life's ton of demands and opportunities, she applied her academic research skills to figure out what's scientifically shown to help you maximize your time and energy for who and what you love and adapted it to fit the hardworking mom's reality. Amen. She founded Solutions for Simplicity to help overwhelmed moms do more, stress less, and be happier. We get to talk today about what's actually to blame for your exhaustion, overwhelm, and procrastination. So, welcome, Amber.
Thank you, Amy. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Many people are meeting you for the very first time. So, can you share your quick story of how you came to where you are?
I am basically a crazy person, and I hope that doesn't turn people away from the beginning. But a couple of years ago, my best friend told me I am the person who makes her feel better about her life, meaning that my life is so crazy, it always makes her glad it's not her living it. And at first, I was really offended. And then I've totally embraced it because it's true. From the outside, my life still looks so chaotic. I am a full time professor, which is a very demanding, high pressure job. I have four young kids, 11 and under. My husband also works. We have no family nearby. I'm this crazy, ambitious dreamer with lots of goals. And so I started this side business and a YouTube channel. But all of it is ultimately motivated by the deep struggles I had after becoming a mom and how hard it was for me to reconcile my old way of performing with my new reality and the new pull on my heart that I just couldn't have anticipated beforehand. So, long story short, I ended up very depressed and suicidal after my first son was born. And I hope no one is ever in such a dark place. But it really stemmed from trying to push myself to keep up with my old way of doing things when that was so far from my reality. And I was making it mean so much about me as a person. And I thought I was such a failure because I couldn't do it all. And after I got help and started my recovery journey, goodness, I've just realized so much. And I applied my academic research skills to really figure out how we can live a simpler, purposeful, and productive life that aligns with our priorities, not anyone else's expectations of perfection and unattainable success, right? It's all about what you want. And so as I applied these things myself, it made such a difference. And I couldn't help but want to share that with whoever will listen. So, yes, it still looks very crazy. But the reality is that I I have so much joy about everything now. And while I'm still lead a very full life. I always prefer full instead of busy. Um, yeah, it's because I have so carefully assessed what does and doesn't fit in. And I still fit in a lot. So I want to show women what's possible while also just underscoring that you don't have to do it all. I hope that makes sense.
Oh, that resonates so deeply. We are also a dual working home with, I have two kids, under 11 also. And the pandemic kind of made me have this side hustle start. I started a YouTube channel just because, right? And people always ask me, well, how do you do all the things and manage all the things? And so this is really resonating with my heart. I love it. And when you said the full versus busy, I think that is a great thing to talk about because whenever I ask a mom, how are you, whether it's at work or anywhere, right? A lot of the answers I get are tired or busy or overwhelmed. And so, why are moms these days, unfortunately, more exhausted, overwhelmed, and stressed than ever before?
We know that feeling, all of us do. And the reality is, that feeling is ultimately a choice. We make so many choices all of the time about what we choose to do and how we're going to feel about the things that we do. But we forget to say no to the things that we don't actually want to do or that don't align with our priorities. And so it's so important that we protect our time for what matters most. And until you learn to do that and feel empowered from doing it, we just keep trying to live up to all these false beliefs and unrealistic expectations, that social pressure, our people pleasing perfectionist tendencies. Sometimes we are our own worst enemy, where we judge ourselves based on what we used to be able to do or how we thought mom life would look, and our current reality is so different. And so, just all this pressure from so many different areas makes us tired. And what women fail to realize a lot of times is that that mental load and that mental pressure takes actual energy, and it's taking up space in your brain. So, of course, you're not able to be productive when you want to be productive because you've got all this other stuff rolling around in your brain. And of course, it's hard to get out of bed in the morning when you know you're just going from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing from the moment your feet hit the ground. And if you don't carve out time for yourself and what brings you joy, right? Some creative outlet or some goals or your own health. I hate the term self-care, but that's what we all need. If we're not filling our own cup, then we definitely don't have the energy and the mood that we want to have to serve those we love. And it's just such a vicious cycle that I'm committed to helping women break out of.
Yeah. I've heard people say self-love a lot more, so I like that too. Self-care,
Yes.
self-love,
Love it. I haven't heard that one.
Perfect. Yeah, we all say, gosh, there just isn't enough time in the day. I don't know how many times I've had this conversation with people, right? It just feels like we never get all the things done. But you have shared many times, it's not about the time that we need. So, what do we moms actually need more than time?
If I could go back and tell my former self this one thing, I feel like it would have changed so much and saved me so much heartache. I used to think that time was the answer. If I just had another few hours, if I just had a little bit more time, then I could get it all done. And the underlying assumption was that then I would be good enough. Then I would be successful, right? I would live up to my own standards, and life would be great. And I even after my journey with depression and my recovery, I confess that I sought out time management and productivity strategies for better using your time, thinking that that was the answer. I thought that if I could just arrange the puzzle pieces of my life into the perfect schedule and the perfect plan, and pencil everything in so that it looked doable on paper, then it would just flow perfectly in real life. And that was not the case. So I was back to the drawing board. Why is this not working? And of course, it's because all these unexpected things come up. But what I learned more than anything is that it's not really time that we need, it's energy. We need to have the energy required for the particular task or meeting or situation that we are in that moment. And if you don't, then everything takes longer, and you're proverbial doing the swimming upstream and hitting your head against the wall. And then what I've realized through my neuroscience research is that that feeling of getting nowhere tells your brain that all of this is a failure, and it just perpetuates the problem all over again, so that your brain doesn't want to do the work. And we find ourselves procrastinating and misusing our time even when we have it. And it's just so, so bad. So I'd noticed a lot of things in myself and my own health about how things went when I had energy. And then, because I'm a data analyst as a professor, I do a lot of statistics and research. I'm not a math person, but I'm a nerd when it comes to data and data analysis.
Love data.
I started realizing that there were very clear patterns in when we have energy and when we don't. And that led to more research that has just enlightened me on all of these natural biological energy rhythms that we all have, with just natural ebbs and flows throughout the day, week, the month. And so I love to talk more about that. But I forgot to mention a couple other things we all need more than time as well. The big thing is energy, right? If we don't have energy, ain't nothing getting done. But we also need to have a firm sense of our self worth so that we're not tying our time and our productivity to who we are, which I struggled with big time for many, many years. And the second thing is you've got to know your priorities. You have to really be clear on what the most important task is in the time that you have. Otherwise, we're all too aware of feeling like all the urgent things have to get done and the important gets pushed aside. These are all related, but three big problems when it comes to what we need more than time: sense of self worth, knowing your priorities, and then how you can align your time with your natural energy rhythms.
When we think of energy, a lot of people think caffeine, right? Or, oh, get me my coffee. So it's without caffeine, right? So let's talk about, I know you talk a lot about rhythms and figuring out what our rhythms are, and we're all different, right? So can you talk a little bit more about what these cycles slash rhythms are and how we can start figuring them out for ourselves?
Yes, and I'm going to get so nerdy here, but
I love it.
let me start by saying that I am your classic coffee addict. I'm not giving that stuff up. I love it and I drink a ton of it. So caffeine isn't inherently bad. That being said, right, we all are probably aware that caffeine can cause our energy to crash, just like sugar can cause your energy to spike and then crash. What is so amazing is that everyone's body naturally goes through these innate biological rhythms. There's your circadian rhythm that governs your energy on a 24-hour basis, your ultradian rhythm that governs how long you can focus for any length of time. And so this occurs multiple times every day. Then there is your infradian rhythm, which has been getting a lot of attention lately, and I'm so excited to see it being promoted. But ultimately, it's your monthly cycle, right? And how your period affects your productivity and the various phases of the menstrual cycle. Oh my gosh, we could geek out about this forever. But the fourth one that doesn't get as much notice is your weekly cycle, based on how much energy you tend to have on different days of the week, which varies based on your personal life situation. And then I also always throw in the fact that our bodies vary with the different seasons of the year and the temperature and the light exposure and things like that. So the punchline is that when you learn how each of these rhythms work, you can start to track your energy rhythms for yourself and identify what I call your peak performance windows, which are those glorious moments where your energy is at its highest. And that means those are the moments where you can purposely plan in advance to do your most mental or physically demanding kinds of tasks. It's such a game changer.
I love it because in my life, right, I have just by trial and error discovered some of these things, right? Like exercise, I need to do it in the morning because in the evenings I just have the lack of energy. You know, you're tired from work, you're tired from all the things in the day, and there's so many excuses of I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm this and I'm that. So I just need to do that. I also like Mondays to start my week with exercise and get my brain and endorphins and all of that going. So I've realized a lot of these things. So I love that you're sharing this. And I'm a morning person. A lot of people are not morning people. And so I like to do some of my focus things um, for my business, right, on the side before I go to my job, my 9 to 5 job, so that I can get some focus time in. So I love that you are bringing to light that there's so many different things about our own rhythms. And like I said, we're all different, right? So I guess how do you recommend people start figuring out when to do certain things?
Mm, That's the key, right? Because this knowledge is power. As trite as that sounds, it's so true. And it's easy in the sense that when you learn these rhythms and for yourself, because everyone's cycles are unique, it really empowers you to know the kinds of things you can anticipate doing and when, so that you don't have those unrealistic expectations or not as unrealistic expectations. You can try and plan your important meetings for the time of the month where you're most social and outgoing. You can try and avoid a really deep project, a deep work kind of task for the time of day that you're going to be exhausted and burnt out, and it's going to take you 3 times as long, and the quality is going to be really bad. You can know in advance a day of the week where you're unlikely to get much good work done. So that should be the day that maybe you run your errands and wait for doctor's appointments and stuff like that. And so it just enables you to use the time that you have so much better. And
Mhm.
then the real key is that it enables you to see why you do struggle a good portion of the time. We are not machines. And as much as society makes us think that we can run at 100% capacity all the time, we can't, right? Our energy ebbs and flows. And so on the days where you only have 20%, but you're thinking or expected to do your 100% work,
Mhm.
that's going to be hard and it's going to feel hard. So when you know in advance that you're unlikely to be successful, then you can get strategic. Should I postpone this? Can I temper down my expectations and just really let good be good enough instead of trying to make this my perfect at work? Can I ask for help? Do I need to really speak up about my own needs right now? Or at a minimum, you just give yourself so much more grace because you know that you were absolutely doing your best in that moment, right? And your best isn't 100%, but you gave it your 100 based on how much you had to give, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I finished reading this book on rest, and rest doesn't just mean sleep or napping, right? And I think of a day at work, and sometimes we feel guilty getting up for that, coffee break, tea break, water break, whatever it might be, talking to our coworkers. But that actually, I think, makes us more productive, and our mental rest, I guess, from the focused work. And I've also heard like we have 4 hours of focused work time in us. It's not this 8 hours. It's kind of crazy to think that we have 8 hours in us to sit and focus. So I just want people to know that they are not alone if they feel guilty about some of this stuff. It actually is good for our brains and good for our bodies to get up, right? Get moving and fill our cups back up again, I guess, to regain that energy that we're talking about.
Totally. And that's where it's extra empowering, right? Time is, for better or worse, this kind of finite use it or lose it resource that is constantly slipping away from us. And I don't like that frame. I really try to view time as something in abundance and there's always
Mhm.
more coming for us. But the reality is that it's really easy to feel like we don't have time or we misused our time and judge ourselves for that. Whereas energy is constantly being replenished. Your
Mhm.
body was designed to replenish your energy as long as you heed its cues and you give it what it needs. And to your point, rest is absolutely crucial for that. It is the most productive thing that you can do because without rest, you will definitely burn out. And we know this now on a chemical cellular level of how your hormones affect the processes in your brain and all of the neurological byproduct that gets released from overworking. And it's not good, especially for women as we age and start to go through hormonal changes with perimenopause. And then stress becomes a really big danger because, we could go on and on. Suffice it to say that I just want women to know that there's nothing wrong with them if they feel like they're not getting quote unquote enough done. The
Mhm.
more likely story is just that they're probably trying to do tasks that don't align with where they're at in their energy rhythms. And when you instead purposely plan the kinds of tasks to tackle or avoid in different windows based on how much energy you know in advance you're going to have,
Mhm.
everything clicks. It just runs smoothly. And that's not to say perfectly, right? But again, you have awareness and compassion for yourself. And then you feel like a rock star. I call it Superwoman Week. In the moments where everything really is at its peak. Wow, it's really crazy to think how much you can get done and how effortless it feels when you're working with your energy, not against it.
And at the beginning, you said now you're doing things with joy, right? And that's what I also focus on. I'm like, how can we all find that joy in everything that we do on a normal basis? Not in the big things, but it's all in the little things. And when we intentionally align ourselves, as you say, it really starts fitting in. And when we align our expectations too, right? That we can't do it all. These are the things we're doing. These are the things we're doing at this time. It really starts driving. I love
I
that.
would love to give you a really practical, tangible example of joy and how it relates to energy and parenting.
Yes.
Um, so, one of the natural energy rhythms is, of course, your circadian rhythm, and whether you're a morning person or night owl, but there's a lot more variation in between as well. And I am a morning person, I am a lion chronotype. And so I'm roaring to go first thing in the day. That's my prime work time. I love it. Give me all of the the work time first thing in the day. Well, that's not my reality with multiple young kids that are also early risers and need to get out the door to school and things like that. So I would battle for many years wanting to get up before my kids to get work done, even though I'd been woken up multiple times through the night. But then it always seemed that no matter how early I got up, they would just get up earlier too. And I would get frustrated about that. But now I'm aware of that issue. So I can, if I really want to get my work done, I can plan in advance for my husband to cover the early morning period or something. But it also helped me change my expectations because what I was finding was that when I thought I was going to get up and do a bunch of work, and then my kids woke up, I was cranky, right? I didn't get what I wanted. You're as much as I wouldn't ever want to actually see it this way, it felt like an imposition. It felt like I was being deprived of the time that I was owed for what I wanted to do. Horrible way to feel as a mother, and so not in alignment with my values with family first, right? So again, tempering my expectations and choosing that my prime morning time is going to be devoted to my family. And then instead of expecting to wake up and work, I'm happy when my kids also wake up and we sing good morning songs and we have silly dance parties in the kitchen and we make the morning routine more fun. Conversely, and building off of that, is that my kids know that after about 8 o'clock at night, mom is done. I'm so dead. I'm so tired, even on a good day. My energy is gone. And you can very clearly explain to even the youngest kids that you're like a battery and your battery is fully charged at your peak time, which for me is the morning. And by nighttime, there's nothing left.
Yeah.
So that's not the time to be having big conversations. That's not the time to be doing homework where I've got to help my 11-year-old with long division or whatever. Like, again, not a math person. And it also has meant much more awareness on my end that as my kids sense my depleting energy,
Mhm.
they it's like they seem to get a little uneasy and they kind of push that much harder for attention.
Mhm.
It's when the
Mhm.
bedtime battles start. That's when it's so hard to get them to focus and brush their teeth. It's like they just know that mom doesn't have a lot of energy. And we had moments where that was very stressful. And again, I wasn't being the mom I wanted to be in those moments, which I've then later come back and explained and been able to repair with them after the fact, but can now plan in advance to get my husband's help to, again, like make sure we do the important things before it gets to that witching hour for me. All of these are just suggestions and ideas, but I really have found it so tied to how I show up for my family. And I just, yeah, that's what brings me joy is feeling like I can be the mom I want to be while not having unrealistic expectations and thinking I'm going to be perfect all of the time. That's never the goal.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
I don't know how many moms out there just went, me too, because I definitely did. And my kids are also early morning risers, and we've had the same discussions, but I think COVID really helped us. It's the silver lining where we needed them to be even more independent. They were fairly independent, but that was really the push of, okay, we need you to get ready in the mornings, be able to prepare some of your own stuff because we just can't be in all the places at once. And so I get to do some of my stuff. I communicate with them. I need, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is. And then you have my full attention, because me spending time with them without my full attention, like if I have my phone on me, it's just not great for either of us. So for me to be able to communicate to them exactly what I need, they go do their things, then we come back, everything is done. We don't need to worry about what's going to school. Did you prep all the stuff, And we have that nice time before we both have to go. So I love that you shared that. And that's my little piece of joy from our family too.
Love it.
So, we always like to end our talks by giving everyone a quick action or challenge to complete today because we talked about a lot of things and I don't want people to be overwhelmed about actions to take. So, what is your challenge for us so that they can start making the changes now?
I hope this will be a simple challenge. I would love for women to just start being aware of how much energy they have at different times throughout the day. And this goes hand in hand with your mood. But if you feel up to it, you can write a little tracker and kind of rate your mood and your energy level at different times. I have resources that help you do this. I have a Harness Your Energy program where I really work with women to learn these rhythms. But you don't, you can start so simply by just being aware of how you feel. And when you track that, you will inevitably start to see those patterns I mentioned and be able to use that information to predict when you will have more or less energy moving forward. So I think being aware of your energy is key.
Mhm.
And the more you can track it, the more helpful it will be. But again, it doesn't have to be hard. And um, yeah, like just looking into all of this is a whole new world. So I encourage women to do that.
Being aware, right, is that first step. And I love tracking for all kinds of things because you love data, I love data. So that's a great challenge. You also have a great freebie for everyone. So can you share about that?
Yes, my Signs to Simplify Your Life assessment is a free quiz that walks you through a bunch of important warning signs that your life might be too crazy and chaotic. And it's all based on my academic research as well as my personal experience, but it helps you figure out basically which phase of life or what your current circumstances are. I divide it up into three different stages. Triage, meaning everything is really falling apart, which was me and is me still from time to time. We all go through those moments. Transformation, where you are really starting to get back on your feet and recognize things can be better and you're making some of those changes. And then finally, the triumph phase where you've got a good foundation and then you are ready to fly the nest and soar and take everything up a notch. So I help you identify which of these phases you are in and then give you a bunch of personalized recommendations tailored to your situation A bunch of those resources are also free. And then it just really helps you have strategies, tips, and actual products or resources you can use to help you go from wherever you are to even better.
I love that it meets you where you are and takes you to where you want to go. Fantastic freebies. You also have an exclusive bonus for everyone that wants to upgrade to a VIP pass. Can you share about that as well?
Absolutely. I'm so excited to contribute my Reflect and Reset workbook, which is a PDF little workbook that guides you through a bunch of thought provoking questions to assess where you've been, clarify where you want to go, and then really kind of process your emotions and experiences that might be holding you back so that you can have that proverbial clean start and just enjoy moving forward without being held back by whatever you've been through up to this point. I think it's such a great thing to do on a regular basis, certainly as we come upon the end of the year. I personally implement this process every quarter, but anytime I'm going through life drama, I pull it out as well. And so I hope that women will find it helpful for assessing their life on a deeper level than with my free resource, and be able to then really pinpoint where they want to go, how they want to feel.
That sounds fantastic. Just a reminder for everyone that you can get Amber's exclusive bonus that you just talked about, as well as bonuses from other speakers, and keep all these videos to revisit whenever you want to when you upgrade to the VIP pass, because I feel like every time I re-listen to these conversations, I get something new out of it. So we're here to support you. Let us know how the challenge goes, ask your questions, grab the free resources. Anything else you want to leave our moms with, our parents with before we head out?
Just so much encouragement. I think I always thought I was going to reach a point where I didn't have any more problems, right? That I had the plan or the solution for everything. And full transparency, I kind of kicked myself. I started my business with a very well intentioned, but now in retrospect, just an arrogance, thinking that I had answers. And they definitely help. But a lot of my initial answers were about time management and, again, a push to be productive and use your time wisely. And if I could go back and tell that person 5 years ago what I now realize, it's that they're so much more important than time, and that none of it determines who you are and how incredibly wonderful and worthy you are. I'm just all about lifting other women up and helping us remember that even in the hardest moments, there is a purpose and it's all for good. It's all for good.
I absolutely loved our conversation today. Thank you so much, Amber, for sharing your scientific knowledge to help us do more while we stress less. We all want that. And remember, parents, we are here to journey with you and see you thrive. So we will see you back for more amazing summit speakers.